Today I'm going to show you guys how to do a curly Bantu knot hairstyle on my daughter Zoe. This is one of my favorite hairstyles to do on my daughter, but it's also one that took me a little while to master. Also, a quick PSA, this isn't necessarily the proper way to do it. This is just the way that I've found that works best for me. So the first step, and this is an important one, is I'll sit my daughter down in front of the TV and put one of her favorite shows on, just making sure that she's nice and distracted and comfortable. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start just running my fingers through her hair while it's still dry, just finger combing it and gently getting those major knots and tangles out. Now that those major knots and tangles are out, we're going to start working on the center part. One of the key elements to this hairstyle looking good is having clean and sharp lines. Make sure that they're straight. In order to get these, you're going to use what's called a rat's tail comb. It's a comb with a pointy end on it, and you're going to start threading it through the part. Something that I do myself is I pull the hair to the side to create some tension so that I can really expose that line in the middle and see what I'm doing, and just literally thread the pointy end of the comb underneath and pull in an upwards motion, then pull down, and just kind of keep doing that until you've got all of those little crossover hairs out. It might take a little while to do, so make sure you have some patience with it. Also, a little bit of a pro tip, don't just look at it from a downwards angle. Make sure you go and check it from front on, because especially when you've got a small child who's constantly moving around, sometimes it can look like you've got a really nice straight line, but then when you see it from the front on, you all of a sudden notice it's lopsided. So now that I've got a part all nicely done, I'm going to pull out a product called Super Detangle Spray by Curly Kids. The bottle says it revitalizes and adds moisture, but seriously, when it comes to curly hair, moisture is key. You want to get it nice and damp, and I've been using this product for years and I find it really helps with detangling. Now I'm finished with the Super Detangle Spray. I'm going to pull out a spray bottle that has some regular warm tap water in it, and I'm just going to continue spraying her hair until it's really nice and damp. With curly hair, you really want to make sure it's nice and damp before you start running any brushes through it. Speaking of brushes, or technically combs, I'm going to pull out a wide tooth comb. I use the one from Kevin Murphy, and I'm going to start combing out her hair just to get rid of all of the tangles. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down to the roots, also holding tight in the middle just to alleviate the tension so it doesn't hurt her. When her hair is all combed out, I'm going to start working on the side parts. Now, I don't know why, but for some reason the side parts are always a little bit trickier and more time consuming, so make sure you have a little bit of patience with it. Once again, make sure they have one of their favorite TV shows on or some kind of distraction so that they're not bothered while you're doing it. Now, to get this side part, we're just going to use the same techniques that we did with the middle part. Just pulling to get some tension. See how I'm pulling her hair to the front and the side to kind of spread those lines apart, and then I'm just threading that rat tail comb down through the hair all the way down, and I usually use her ear as a guideline, so I'm trying to make that line meet the end of her ear. So next up, I'm going to pull out a product called Custard for Kids by Curly Kids. This is a nice lightweight gel. It doesn't dry too hard or crunchy, and it's a product that I've been using quite a lot lately because I feel like it doesn't dry her hair out as much as the stronger gels. So I'm just going to start working on these two front ponytails. Also very important, we only want to put the gel in these two front sections. We don't want to put it in the back. We have some more products that we're going to use in the back after we're done. So now that we've got the gel in there, we're going to start creating the ponytail with the brush and also start smoothing it out. I'm using what's called a paddle brush. This is a mixed bristle brush that has both boar and nylon. It's a great brush for reducing frizz, so I'm just going to keep brushing it out, getting it smooth and getting that ponytail tight. Now we're going to grab a hair tie and we're just going to wrap it around the hair and create that ponytail. Now make sure that you're using proper hair ties and not rubber bands, because rubber bands can cause breakage. Speaking of breakage and damaging the hair, I do also want to say that hairstyles like this where you're tying the hair really tightly back using a lot of products like this, you want to do them sparingly. You don't want to do them all the time because they can damage a child's hair if you're doing it every single day. Now that I've got that ponytail done, I'm going to pull out the paddle brush again and just give it a quick brush in an upwards motion, just making sure I've got rid of all of the frizz that I can get rid of. And then I'm just going to simply start twisting the hair around so that it's kind of tight. Not super tight, just kind of tight. And once it's kind of tight, I'm gonna start wrapping it around itself. And as I wrap it around in a circular motion, every time I go around, I'm gonna tuck it in underneath itself. Does that make sense to you guys? I think you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm wrapping it around and tucking, wrapping it around and tucking. And once I've got it wrapped around and tucked to the point where you could kind of let it go and it would still stay, you're gonna pull out another hair tie and you're just gonna wrap it around the bottom. This is a hair tie that you won't even be able to see, so make sure it's really done at the bottom. And then you've got your Bantu knot. It's actually a lot easier to do than you would expect. Also, ignore the weird snoring noises. I've got my dog in the room and he's getting a little bit bored. So now we've got the Bantu knots all done. We're gonna start working on the curls in the back. This hairstyle is all about contrast. We've got the business in the front and the party in the back. No, it's not a mullet. It is definitely a lot cooler than a mullet. We are not giving Zoe a mullet, guys. So I'm using a leave-in conditioner by Mixed Chicks. I've only just recently started using this product. A friend of mine who has amazing hair, very similar texture to Zoe, recommended this, and it's the best leave-in conditioner that I have found to date. So what you want to do is you want to start just putting little bits into your hand and just really running it through her hair, just lathering it up. Don't go too crazy on it, but at the same time, don't be too sparing either. Now that I've got the hair all nicely lathered up, I'm gonna bring out what's called the Denman Brush. The Denman Brush is amazing for curly hair and emphasizing curls. So what I'm doing is I'm brushing in an upwards motion. Every time I brush, I grab it at the bottom as well to just alleviate some of the tension, especially when I'm at the bottom. Her hair is very tightly curled at the bottom. Zoe actually has multiple different hair textures. At the front, it's quite loose. As you get to the back, it's much tighter. So I always make sure I'm a lot more gentle. And this is also why I give it a brush first with the wide tooth comb before I go in with the Denman brush, because it will just make it a lot more pleasant for her. So now that I'm finished brushing all of that leave-in conditioner through her hair, I'm gonna start drying it. I'm actually using a diffuser attachment on my hair dryer. The one that I'm using is by Rizzo's Curls. This literally just slips on top of the hair dryer. I believe it fits on most hair dryers, and what a diffuser does is it evenly disperses the hair so that your hair isn't blowing all over the place and you're not ruining the curl patterns. And I'm just running my fingers through her hair as I'm drying it. I'm pulling it up and out, really trying to emphasize getting extra volume, and that's what a hair dryer is really going to help you to do. In complete honesty, I've only recently started blow drying, as I used to always air dry, and since I've started blow drying, I feel like I've been noticing her curls are getting tighter and I've been getting a lot more volume. So I've really been enjoying the results that I get. Also, another thing that I would recommend doing is always make sure that your hands are in front of that diffuser, especially if you're getting anywhere close to the scalp, because she is a young child and you want to make sure that when you're using hot air, if it does feel a little bit too hot on the skin, it's going to feel too hot on your skin far before it feels hot on hers. So now the hair is all nice and dry, I'm going to pull out some hair oil. This is the Mongongo oil. I probably pronounced that really wrong. Clearly this is not a sponsored video, but this is by a company called Weedad. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but it's definitely worth the money. This is the best hair oil that I've used to date. So what this is going to do is it's going to boost shine and reduce frizz, and I'm just going to spray it in there and then just sort of start spreading it around, getting it all in her hair evenly. Louie, can you please stop snoring? This video is not that boring, is it? I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments if Louie's snoring was justified. Alright, now I've got her curls all hooked up. I'm going to do the finishing touches. I'm going to lay her baby hairs. I'm going to be using the product Custard for Kids again, and I'm just going to be putting that on a toothbrush. I actually use a baby toothbrush because the bristles are a lot softer. It's not going to irritate her scalp, and I'm just going to put the gel onto the toothbrush and just brush in a downwards motion and then start swooping around. In all honesty, Baby hairs are definitely not my strong point. It's something that I'm slowly getting better at, but I'm still learning. So if you guys want to give me some tips in the comments, I'd actually really appreciate it. So this is how the finished hairstyle looks. I think it looks super cute. Clearly so does Zoe from the smile on her face. I think as a dad, it's very important to at least learn the basics of doing your daughter's hair, not just for practicality reasons, but it's a great way to bond with your children as well. So if you're a dad watching this, I really challenge you to go out and try a couple of fun hairstyles with your kids. Don't necessarily have to get them right, just go out and do it, and your kids will appreciate it.